Hello, welcome. I am doing some planning for the next month-ish based on some astrology, and probably also talking about the shitty placement of the calendar new year and trying to get my music at the right volume currently. Welcome, Kathleen. Hi, Ashley. Let me know how y'all are doing. Let me know if you can hear my computer if it's too loud. Happy New Year, I guess. There it is. All right. Welcome, everybody. I usually talk about astrology here, which is kind of what I'll be talking about today. Like, kind of standing thing. If you ever see me live and have any astrology questions, ask away. That is one of my favorite things to do, is answer y'all's astrology questions. But I'm mostly here to just hang out while I do some planning for the coming month. I don't want to do that right now. Do I have... Make sure I didn't miss any comments or anything. I don't think anybody's commenting yet. Nope. Just people coming and going, which is fine. Welcome, everybody. Man, everybody just keeps popping in and out, which, like, is fine, but it's probably because I don't have a background again. We'll just turn up the music for now while I pull up goodolastro.com. I don't think I'm even logged in on here. Nope, I'm not. There we go. All right. Oh, I think I want Astro Seek. So, fun fact. Oh God, that's bright. Why is that so bright? Hello! How are you? How's your shoulder? Sorry. It hurts. Oh, I'm sorry. I have known other people that need to get rotator cuff work done, and it's some of the worst pain I have heard. Do, do, do. Yeah. Happy New Year. I don't really love that the new year is when it is, but you know, nothing I can do about that. Thanks. Do, 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 do. So, getting into some astrology chit chat, we just had a new moon in Capricorn, which I think is like, when it comes to astrology and the new year, that's like best case scenario, because the marker of our new year where it is, it's not great. I just literally just put a post up about my feelings on this, but like trying to start something new in the middle of winter when everything is dormant doesn't make sense to me. But having the new moon coincide with the new year at least gives you a month roughly where like it might kind of make sense, because I like to think of the new moons as that is the start of a new moon cycle. So you can kind of use that to like set smaller goals and intentions for yourself. So, you know, this year we have that going for us. My heat kicked on, so now my incense smoke is wafting directly into my face. So that's kind of nice, but also like kind of sneaky to me, because you might have, like, if you do resolutions, right? You might have that solid first month, which is really common, but then we go into a new moon cycle and your priorities are probably going to shift. It's just how that is. And that tends to be when people fall off of their New Year's resolutions. Why do you want to hop on the live? I mean, thanks for the likes though. Anyway, so we just had the new moon in Capricorn, which Capricorn is very grounded, very practical, very patient too. I need to spread love and positivity. I mean, you can do that through the comments. I don't really bring people on my lives. Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn, so you have that Saturnian kind of serious nature to it, but Saturn also speaks to kind of this sense of long-term growth. Saturn rules agriculture. Yes, it is boundaries and restrictions and things like that, but it's boundaries that are put in place in order to allow things to grow. So I think Capricorn is a really great energy to work with in general when you're wanting to really plan for something, look at the practical side of things. What do you need to do to like really make progress? So if you haven't done any like new moon intention setting and all of that, you can still do that. Like the new moon technically was yesterday, but like you can still do that. It's fine. Yeah, so that's what we are currently working with. I'm going to take a look at the next kind of span of the next moon cycle and look at good days for certain things. I don't know. I'm trying new things. That's a weird question. E, thanks for the likes. I appreciate you. I know you don't know too much about astrology, but like, let me know if you have questions. The other thing I really like about this new moon is that it's isolated. A lot of times when you look at new moons, full moons, there's other planets that are connecting and involved. Most of the planets right now are not connected to the sun and moon at all. So the new moon happens when the sun and moon are together. So anything, right, we have the sun and the moon in Capricorn. This is hard to explain without showing a visual, so bear with me. So you have sun and moon together in Capricorn. The signs right next to Capricorn, so Sagittarius before and Aquarius after, and then also the signs not... So if you look at the signs as a wheel, right? Astrology charts are shown in a wheel. If you go directly across from Capricorn, you have Cancer. So that's an opposition. That's a very clear line of sight for those two signs. But then you have the signs next to Cancer, which are Gemini and Leo. So, hello friend. Thank you. So those four signs, the ones next to Capricorn and the ones next to Cancer, that's, if you're in either Capricorn or Cancer, those are the places that like whatever is in those signs can't see those spots. It's blind spots. We have Mercury in Sagittarius, one of those signs. We have Venus in Aquarius, one of the other signs. We have Mars in Leo, and then we have Jupiter in Gemini. So the only planet that is seen by the sun and the moon right now is Saturn in Pisces, which is like one of the best case scenarios because Saturn rules Capricorn. So you have the only planet relating to, connecting to the sun and the moon right now is the planet ruling them. So it can help out. It can lend its strength and its structure to whatever is happening with the sun and the moon right there. And I feel like that's not very common. Like the last full moon we had Jupiter involved, we had, I don't even remember what else. There was like multiple other planets involved. So this is a very clear, isolated, like, what happens when you have that new moon in Capricorn, when the sun and the moon are together, isolated in Capricorn. I am laggy on my end. I hope that's not coming through too bad for y'all. So yeah, and I think that makes it an even better time to kind of rest. Like new moons are generally, not, this isn't the case for everybody, but generally it's a time of a little bit lower energy. But it makes it a very clearly focused time to get practical with the Capricorn, to really connect to that. And if you're up on what all of this world of astrology is, you'll know that you have your own personal chart. So one of the things you can do with working with the moon phases is find where are these moons happening in your chart, and that's your personal area of focus. So I have Capricorn in my 4th house, so it's a good idea for me to focus on 4th house things. That's the home, family. It's really those, like, it's your most private area of life. So my plan is to work on that, and the new moon marks, to me, how I like to use it, the themes of the next month-ish, the next moon cycle. So for me, those are the topics that I will be paying attention to over that time. Does that make sense? I feel like I just word vomited in a way that I haven't in a while, and now my nose is itchy, which is a very common occurrence here. So yeah, that's cool. That's kind of what I'm going to be focusing on. But in general, it's the getting practical about things, getting into the planning phases, and being patient with it, taking time, like not rushing anything, which I think doubles up with the theme of, like, we're in the middle of winter, slow down. Cool. I'm glad y'all find it interesting. As usual, if you have any questions, like, please let me know. It is already 6 o'clock. Okay, I do not have time to do everything I wanted to right now, but that's okay. So let's see. Strategizing how I want to move through this right now. Let's move a week ahead at a time. So right now we do have Mars is retrograde, Jupiter is retrograde. Did Mercury must have recently gone direct. See, I don't always pay attention to, like, what the planets are currently doing. I'm trying to get better about that. I just don't have a solid, like, routine with it. We're working on it. So by the time of the full moon, we will have Mercury in Capricorn. We will have Venus in Pisces. I love that. Like, actually love that. That's one of the best places for Venus to be. Conjunct Saturn. That's interesting. So I say that's interesting because Saturn is traditionally a malefic planet, so it does bring about some tougher things, some life lessons. It's not always nice. I personally love Saturn. Whatever, it's Saturn. Venus is a benefic planet, so it brings good things. Venus is very positive. Venus has a certain softness, connection with other people, values. So those two together can kind of, Venus can kind of soften Saturn in a sense, in theory. At least at the time of the full moon, I would say that's the case. But at the full moon, we also have Mars, which is retrograde, conjunct the moon. So this full moon might be kind of a mixed bag. With that Mars retrograde, it could potentially be a time of like being really hard on yourself. But potentially being able to communicate it, because we have Mercury not conjunct the sun but co-present. I don't know, I'm curious to see how that plays out. That's an interesting one. I would venture to guess that might be like, there's the kind of stereotype that like shit goes crazy during the full moon, and anybody that works in healthcare or any like emergency services, they will usually back that up, that full moons are nuts. Like, people are unstable during the full moon. Adding Mars retrograde and so close to the moon at that time, I don't love that. Luckily, the moon moves quick, so that conjunction will be relatively brief, thankfully. Yep. But well, and that's where it's tricky, because Venus is trining the moon and Mars, but Saturn is also right there trining moon and Mars. So Jupiter is squaring Venus and Saturn. Yeah, it's interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Let's see what things are like the next new moon. We'll have Mercury there. It'll be in Aquarius. Trining Jupiter, I like that. Alright, so more about moon phases. If you can't tell, I am trying to personally work more with the moon phases. Jeff, hello. I love that. I mean, I feel like that makes sense, because the full moon is a point of full illumination. So it's like you're seeing everything, and you know, sometimes when you see everything, you can go a little crazy. But like the new moon is more internal. It's darker, it's that reflection, which I think lends more to kind of that like existential topics. So my plan, what I've been trying to do, not super successfully yet, but I'll get there, is working with the moon phases, using the new moons to set intention, to look at what the current energy is set up, or just how it's set up and what it's setting me up for personally, where everything is happening in my chart. I'm hoping to really use that as a time to like plan my month, plan what days are good for what, and really do have some more hands-on astrology time. We'll get there. I don't think it'll happen all at once. Was the intention of this live today, was to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of that, but one, it's a new thing for me. I don't really know exactly what the best strategy for that for me will be. 2, I don't have time. I started this later than I wanted to, so I don't have the time to at least do it on the live. Doesn't mean I won't do it later. Anyway, so that's the new moon. You're starting a new moon cycle. With the waxing portion of the moon cycle, so building up to full, that is a good time to add, to grow, to expand, to be actively working towards things and building something up. The full moon is the peak. That is like peak activity. That is, you know, if there's something that needs the most oomph, that's when to do it. As long as the surrounding energy is conducive for that. That is not always the case with the full moon, because the moon, while it is the most relatable of the planets in the way that it is the closest to Earth, it moves the fastest, it's the most fickle, so working with the moon is not always so straightforward. So there's nuance to all of this, but anyway, in general, full moon, peak energy. From the full moon to the next new moon is the waning period. So you're releasing, you're letting things go. Especially the last quarter, you're reflecting, you're going more internal. And most people will break that up into quarters too, not just halves. I'm still kind of figuring out what that looks like for me, getting back into this part of... I don't know if I would necessarily put working with the moon phases into astrology on its own. It depends on how in-depth you are with it, because you can work with the moon phases without knowing anything about astrology. You don't have to factor in the rest of the planets to work with the moon phases. I think it's more, you can get more specific. You can work with the energies better if you do factor in the rest of astrology, but you don't have to. So I don't really know how to categorize working with the moon phases. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Wow, I have had like just enough caffeine today that I am just absolutely babbling, so you know, if you have questions, if I babble enough that I lose you, let me know. Also, note on what I use to look at astrology charts. When I am reading a chart for like an individual, looking at my own chart, I prefer astro.com, Astrodienst. I much prefer the general design and layout of their charts. When I'm looking at transits, especially like upcoming transits, I prefer AstroSeek because they have an option to animate the chart. So you can like bump it forward or back in different time increments, which is super helpful. I don't think... Because last I checked, Astro.com doesn't have that option. Which makes me sad because I just so much prefer their charts. It is what it is. do not remember my AstroSeek login. Anyway. I say anyway, and then I don't actually say anything. That was great. Can you guys hear my computer humming and or the music that's on? I don't usually have my computer. I've only had a computer back for the last like month and a half, so I'm trying something new where I use my computer while I'm on the live. Which means I also have the speakers connected to my computer. New setup here. Gonna need to blow out that candle soon. Can I... Transits. Welcome to anybody joining in or still hanging out. Happy New Year, I guess. Too many things on this chart. Traditional. Who is still on? Weird. Alright, I just got my cue to wrap this up, so I'm gonna do that. I hope y'all have a lovely rest of your evening and a good end to your year, I guess. Happy calendar new year, even though it's a shit placement for a new year. And stay tuned for more moon phase, moon cycle things, content, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. That's all. Have a good night. I will see you next week, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Goodbye.